and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and a puzzle that looks intriguing indeed. It's called Cross the Sums and it's by Abed Hawila, and Abed is one of my very favourite constructors on planet Earth. Why are we doing this today? Well, I suppose it's a little bit frivolous. In yesterday's video, it was a debut on the channel for a constructor, Bren77, who incidentally I've since realised is the person behind our outro music. So if you like our outro music in every video, check that out. That was Bren77. And anyway, we sort of slightly tongue-in-cheek called the video something like the absurdly rated 99% Sudoku, because we couldn't understand how anyone could have done that puzzle and not rated it 100%. It was just absolute quality. And that prompted one of the great solvers in the world, I probably better not name them because I didn't check whether I could, to drop us an email overnight saying, well, you should try this puzzle, this Cross the Sums puzzle by Abed, which apparently has a 97% rating on Logic Masters Germany, so 3% lower than the maximum. And this solver said that for him, this is one of the great puzzles that they've ever solved. So how it's not got 100%, they don't understand. So, well, hopefully we will discover and we will have the same experience as our friend. And we'll get to try this in a moment or two. Actually, what I meant to read the rules out first, aren't I? In this new format for Cracking the Cryptic. So I'll read the rules and then I've got a couple of announcements and then we'll get cracking. So these are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Shade some cells so that the outside clues indicate the sums of the contiguous shaded cells in that row or column. A number indicates the sum of a complete contiguous block. A question mark indicates that a contiguous block's sum to a single digit number. Oh, I see, it's a single question mark. So this question mark, in fact, maybe we should look at this row and just try and understand how it could work. So let's fill it in. Now, I'm going to have to decide on some colours, aren't I? Let's use green for unshaded, and then we'll have grey for shaded. So it's possible, I think, this is a possible way of, in fact, let's make that shaded. I think this is a possible way of shading this row. And let's read how this would work. This would be saying the first contiguous group of shaded cells is this 3. So they need to contain digits that sum to 13. Then these two need to contain digits that sum to a single digit total, because this is not a double digit question mark. And then star will come onto. So star, hang on, let me just keep going. A double question mark indicates the contiguous block sums to a double digit number. An asterisk implies that any number of the blocks may exist, including 0. So actually, maybe I should have made this green, because this asterisk can mean no grey cells at all. Or it can mean any number of grey cells, or it could mean lots of grey cells in split up. So these are complete wildcards, basically, the star clues. And then I think this is why this is called Cross the Sums. Oh, hang on. So the clues are provided in the correct order, left to right or top to bottom. So this is normal Japanese sum logic. And there is at least one unshaded cell between each pair of clued blocks. So that's why you have to separate. If this was 13 and this was applying the question mark, what you cannot do is put this domino next to the 3 cells that add to 13 and claim it's some, differentiated region. There always has to be at least one green cell between each clued segment of shaded cells. And then the shaded cells, and this is the difference between normal Japanese sums, and I think this is from the logic problem Across the Streams. The shaded cells form a single orthogonally connected group. So when we complete the puzzle, what we couldn't have is this sort of arrangement anywhere, because these cells would not connect orthogonally to these cells. And that won't work. And no 2 by 2 area in the grid can be entirely shaded. So In fact, what I've remembered is I snipped from Logic Masters Germany this, so we can have a look at this by reference to the rules and see if we can understand it. So let's start with sort of the global position. I can see that every shaded cell here is connected orthogonally. There's no island of grey in that puzzle, is there? So I can see that. I can see there's no 2 by 2 of grey as well. So that makes sense. How do the clues make sense? Let's look at the 15. So the 15 is the only clue. It's the only clue in row 4, and you can see 4, 2, 3 and 6 do indeed add up to 15. The bottom row has 2 clues, each of 2 question marks each. Right, so 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 is a double-digit number, that's why it's got 2 question marks. And 3, 5, 2 add up to 10, so that's why it has a double question mark clue. Right, column 5 has a star, a 2, and then a double question mark. So you can see the star here is standing for 0 shaded blocks, because the first clue in the column just happens to be the 2, which is this 2. And then we have 2 green cells, and then cells that sum up to 14, and 14 is a double-digit number, which is why it has 2 question marks. So, I mean, it feels very like Japanese sums to me, this, but with the added rinky-dink that we've got to connect all our shaded cells together and not have any 2 by 2s. So, yeah, perhaps a slightly complicated rule set if you're not used to any of these types of different logic problem. But for those of you that are, I think that hopefully it makes sense. And we'll get cracking with this in a moment or two. What do I want to tell you about first? I still want to plug this incredible puzzle that I did just the other day. Here it is. Rush Hour Sudoku by Chameleon. You must have a go at this if you haven't had a go at it. It is absolutely amazing. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen. Why is it amazing? Well, let me show you. You can move the cars around the grid. It's like one of those sliding tile problems that I used to do as a child. And you can see that as you move the tiles, the given digits move with the cars. It makes for an absolutely fascinating solving experience, and you just must have a go at it. So do try and make the time. Next, I've got some birthdays to do. So Landon, it's your birthday over there in Michigan today, and very unusually actually, this is an anonymous request to celebrate your birthday. Most people like to tell us who they are when they recommend someone's birthday, but Landon over there in Michigan, have a great birthday, my friend. And then Sarah, it's your birthday today, and I do know who's wishing you a happy birthday. It's your sister Sophia. So Sophia wrote to us and said you'd appreciate a shout out. I hope Sarah and Landon, you're able to have a suitable amount of chocolate cake on this auspicious day. Now the only other thing to mention is, of course, what's going on Patreon. We've got the Nightmare on Sudoku Street. Moonlight Sonata starting late, which is our April reward. And this has proved very, very popular, and we've been actually astonished by the number of people who've managed to solve all 19 puzzles. So well done to the following: Pamela Skinner, Emily Tinney, John Beam, I think, could be Bem, Palfly Campling, a name, I always like that name, Palfly Campling, Brendan Wright, Anders Sorensen, Cole Young, Jürgen Landry, Jens Pankoki, Sampath Kumar, Kate Law, Jazine and Julian Kipples. Now I hope I'm saying Jazine correctly. It's not a name I recognise. It's a lovely name, but could be Gezine. Forgive me if I've got that wrong. Matt Jenkins, Jarko Pajuniemi. That's I always struggle with that one. Kinchi Wang, Mark Walker, Brandon Crow, and David Barado and Nick Merler. And good luck, David. Thank you for letting us know, and I wish you all the best with what's coming. And that's it. That's it. Now we get to solve a puzzle. So do have a go at this. The way to play is to click the link under the video, as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now. Okay, so I think probably what we need to do... we've got... Right, my big tip for these star clues is that they are really horrible and they tend to be confusing. So let's focus, I'm thinking of this clue, perhaps this clue, because at least they don't have any star clues in them, and they're quite big, aren't they? Because effectively what we're being told here is that the shaded cells have to sum to at least 35 in this column, because a double-digit clue is digits that sum to at least 10. So 10 plus 10 plus 15 is 35. Now, that some of you may be aware that there are only 45's worth of digits in any complete column of a Sudoku because of the secret. But 2.2, right, okay. So I think we can do some very minimal shading in this column. I'm going to claim this has to be shaded. If this wasn't shaded, let's try and fill the column now if this isn't shaded. Now we've got to we could put a double digit there, because this must be at least 2 cells. We can't write 10 into any of these 2 cells. Then we'd stop, then we need 15, that must be at least 2 cells. And look, we've got a problem, because this cell, which could be shaded, cannot cater for a double digit clue, because again, we can't write 10 into it. So I think we can shade this. And I think there's going to be a sort of an alternation, isn't there? I think it's going to be the same for this cell and this cell in the column. If either of these was green, there is no way to fill this column. So, yeah, okay. It's going to be symmetrical in the bottom row, and we know it's going to be symmetrical because 14 has exactly the same properties so far as shading as 15 does, i.e. you can't do it in less than 2 cells. So the logic we've just done on this column must apply for this row as well. So cells 2, 5 and 8 are going to have to be shaded. Okay, but this column has a double-digit clue as its bottom clue, so this must be part of a 2-cell sequence at least, and we mustn't make a grey 2x2, so that becomes green. Oh, this is right, so here we go. We're actually away with this column now. We can fill it in, I think, because the bottom clue's got to be a 2-cell clue. We've got to make space for a 15 clue in the middle, so we're going to have to go green there, shaded here, green here, shaded here. Don't make a 2x2 down here. I think this puzzle had 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty. So far, it's actually been okay, hasn't it? So one thing we're going to have to bear in mind is connectivity. So what I'm seeing here is we've got 3 bridges, if you like, between the left side of the grid and the right side of the grid. And that, I mean, I don't know what that means. This cell's shaded because this clue is part of the 14, isn't it? So that's got to be shaded. We can separate that from its friend, which means these 2 are shaded. Don't make a 2x2. So my bridges are getting more interesting now, because this bridge has been penned in by a great wall of green. So this is going to have to come out somehow. No, I mean, the only thought I was having there is that those cells can't all be green, because if they were all green, these greys couldn't connect to these greys or this grey sequence. It really does. It changes the logic of Japanese sums. Look, the final column has a double-digit clue, so that's got to be grey, which means that's got to be green. This little triumvirate has to get out, so let's let it get out. Now the thing about this is, this double-digit clue, it could be like I mean, it's not going to be because this is too high, but it could be like a 42 or something. So this could be a very long string of grey. Although, hang on, I think I might be able to shade this one in, although it doesn't look like it's going to do me any good. If that was green now, you can see I can't fit a double-digit clue here, so we go double-digit, 3, and we couldn't separate the 3 from this double question mark clue. So that is grey. but the 3 is too small, I think, for me to be able to. I think it's either here, or it's a double-digit clue and it's a 1-2 pair. Ah, okay. This square is green now because because again, ignore the star. That's not going to help us. But so let's look at the right-hand side of this. So this must correspond to this cell, which means that this, if it was grey, would have to be a double-digit clue, and it's not enough room for it to be a double-digit clue. So this is this, and then we don't know what's going on. This could be all of those, couldn't it? These could all turn grey, and this could all belong to this clue, or there could be some jiggery-pokery going on in row 8. Right, well, so far so good. Oh, well, what's going on in this column now? This must be difficult. Yes, this column we can fill it in. This must be at least one cell. Let's separate it. Oh, whoopsie. Let's separate it from this clue, so that could be green. This must be at least 2 cells. Separate it from this clue, which must be at least 2 cells, and there's just enough room for us to fit all this in. Look at this column. That's so annoying. So this is a double-digit clue at the bottom, and then we haven't got a clue what goes on above it because it's the dreaded star clue. This clue is also practically useless because this question mark could be that clue, and the star could just be there for decorative purposes. Okay, now this might be the troubling part. How do we do this? Oh, maybe it's Sudoku. I never like doing Sudoku in my Sudoku puzzles, but let's just think about Sudoku just from the point of view of 15 in 2 cells. That's either 6, 9 or 7, 8, isn't it? So this is not part of the 3 clue. 14 in 2 cells is either 5, 9 or 6, 8. No, I mean that. I was wondering if this cell was going to be restricted, but in fact it could even be a 1. If this was a 9, we would reach a double digit total, so we can't restrict this cell at all. What on earth am I meant to look at now? "17 here. There are at least 2 clues here, aren't there? Because this is definitely separated from these 2 by a green. So this could be part of the 17. Or the 17 would have to be a domino here. And that would be an 8-9 pair. I don't like that. That feels tricky, doesn't it? Three here is not this cell. So it could be here. Or it could overlap here, look. No, well, it could overlap somehow. Although, I think it is quite difficult for these 2 clues to overlap. Because if that's a 3 on its own, so if this is a shaded 3, you can see it gets penned in then on all sides by a wall of green. And that would break the puzzle. But what I'm just wondering is whether this could be part of a 1-2 pair somehow. But hang on, it has to be different from this, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't think this cell can be grey. let me just think about this. If this is grey, it must be part of the 3. Because if it's the part of this, there's no room to put the 3 in the column. So this has to be part of the 3. And we know it can't be a 3, so the only thing it could be is a 1 or a 2. But now, how do I make this work? This cell would have to be grey, and it's going to join to this cell. That's going to add to many more than 3. That doesn't work. So this cell's green. Right, and that is useful. That is useful. Let's revisit this column then. This cell we know is part of that clue, and there isn't enough room for the 3 to fit in there, so that must be just a lone 3. That's all it can be, which has to be greened here. This has to get out, so that becomes shaded, and don't make a 2 by 2, so that becomes green. This has to get out. Look, this is going to make a little worm, a little W pentomino of wormliness. Well, and let's avoid a 2 by 2. I have just noticed something down here, but I've realised that I should probably stick to the knitting. Oh! Well, there's loads going on now. There's loads going on. Firstly, how do we connect that cell with the rest of the world? Well, it can only get out through this little bridge. So those 2 cells have got to be grey. Now, in the first row... bobbins. Okay, this could be part of star. That could be a single cell, and this could be a double cell. Or this could be actually a 3-cell sequence adding up to a single-digit number. Green cell here. Hang on. One thing we might be able to do is to green this cell then. How could this cell be grey? Then we've got a run that adds up to at least 15, and there's no room for this clue. Well, because this would have to be part of star, and then we can't fit in a double-digit clue, a green cell, and this cell as well. So yes, we can do that. That has to be green, which means this has to get out, so that comes down. I'm just going to go to the thing I noticed down here, which is that this little sequence has to get out. Now you can see there's sort of Scylla and Charybdis sitting in the grid here, through which this has to pass. Therefore that cell must be grey, because otherwise there would be a wall of green, and that forces this to be green by 2 by 2 logic. Okay. All right. Well, we are slowly getting somewhere here. It's exciting. But what do we do now? And the answer is I have not got a clue. I'd love to know how this develops. Oh no! It's this. What on earth am I meant to look at here? Sorry, I'm sure many of you can see exactly where I'm meant to be looking, but I am not seeing anything. Why am I not seeing anything? Oh, I know one thing I could see. Hang on, how's that clue work? That's got to be a 1-2 pair. Aha! And if that's a 1-2 pair, that is green. Okay, that's slightly useful, because this little W pentomino has to get out, so that's got to be grey. Ah. Okay, and those digits there, 3 of them, add up to a single-digit number, so we can't... These cells... If I was Mark, I would write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 into these cells, but I'm not. 6 is the highest number we could put in a 3-digit sequence. If we try and put 7 in here and accompany it with 1 and 2, we'd get 10, and 10 is not a single-digit number. I'm almost tempted to just, I don't know, read these or something, just to say this row, I've used the clues as much as I can, because the 3 is done and the star could literally mean anything. So this clue, I think, is done. We've done the 3 there, haven't we? But we haven't really done these 2, because we still need to make sure these add up to enough, and we don't know at all what this does. We know it must grow, but I don't know whether it grows here or here. The 10 here, do we know where that lives? Well, not quite. Nearly. These 2 can't be 10 clues, they're only single-digit numbers. This could be a 10 clue, but if that's grey, this could be a 10 clue. Ah, that digit's high. This has to add up to a double-digit number, so this can't be a 7. It would be too low. That's got to be an 8 or a 9. So this... I don't know. You see, if this was grey, this could be this clue. This is the troubling thing about these starred clues. They're just very, very recalcitrant. Okay. Let me think. Well, no, this clue's not really done. I don't know what this is. I don't know how this works. Oh, one thing. I do know one thing. I've created another Scylla and Charybdis. Those 2 cells. So firstly, these 2 cells were Scylla and Charybdis, through which we had to get this little worm. But now, this cell, if that was green, we would have another wall, wouldn't we? So that's got to be grey, and I can see that's going to do things, because that's green now to avoid a 2 by 2. Right, what has that done? I don't even know. That has done something, actually. Now, look at my great wall of green that's developing from this side of the grid. So everything above this great wall of green, all the grey cells above this great wall of green, have to get out. They have to connect to everything that's lower than this. Now, I think that means that this clue is not this. Because if all of those, if this clue corresponded to this, or extending this sequence, these would all be green, and we would have a complete great wall of green. And we definitely don't want one of those. So one of these, well, so something here corresponds to this. It's a double-digit clue, so that cell turns grey. This, oh, no, it's just okay. It's just okay. How do we keep this down? This must be this clue. There's not enough room to fit in this and this into this sequence. So this corresponds to this, but it's a single-digit clue, so that definitely can't be a 9. That's got to be 8. That's got to be 1. And this cell's got to be green. And therefore, this cell's got to be grey to get this out. And this, oh, that's fine for this clue. Oh, well, no, well, it's fine, but it's only just fine. This is a double-digit clue. So that has to be 2. So we get the 2 and the 1. Good grief. So these are... Okay, hang on a minute. Let me think about this. This means... I don't know. I don't think I know, do I? It's just, I mean, this is sick. It's absolutely sick. I just have to repeat the logic I've just done, don't I? here. Oh, hang on. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Well, what I was about to say was right, but it was incomplete, I've just realised. Okay, so what I was about to say is it isn't possible for all of these squares to be green, and that's true. It isn't possible for that, because again, that creates a different Great Wall of green that separates the top greys from the bottom greys. So we can't do that. And I was about to say that that means there must be a 13 clue over here. But what I'd missed is, what about if this is the 13 but this isn't the end of the 13? The 13 could go to here and get out. So these would both be... Oh, no, that doesn't work. Oh, this is really... It's very, very clever. Okay, so... is this a 4-cell 13 clue is the question I want to ask. Because if it was, these two cells would be green. And this would be green as well, to avoid a 2 by 2. Well, the problem here is, what do we do with these two cells? Because these two cells must be this clue. Because this cannot be this clue, because this is a single-digit clue. So there's going to be double grey there, which are going to be penned in by a wall of green. So what we learned from that is that this is not... Well, I think we can go as far as saying it must be green. Because if it's grey, it can't be part of the single-digit clue. And we can't fit the 13 in. So this is green. But now, next question, is this a 3-cell 13 clue? And the answer to that is very clear, no. Because if it was, both of these would turn green and we'd have a Great Wall of green. So this is a 3-cell sequence that's this clue. Because we must have a double-digit 13 clue here. 13 is 2 numbers. That must be green. This adds to 13. These 3 cells add to a single-digit total without using 1. So they are 2, 3, and 4, which just works. They add up to 9. The 13 clue is either 5, 8, or 6, 7, because it can't be 4, 9 anymore. And this square, which is part of its own sequence that adds up to a single-digit total, is at least 5. I suppose it could be 6 as well. It could be a 5 or a 6. 6 would work with 6, 2, 1. And this would be a 3, 4 pair. Can I get... Yes, I can get rid of 4 from here now. 4 doesn't work. It would push this to being a double-digit total. Oh, right, and okay, I still haven't managed to get my grey thing out. So let's get the grey thing out. This square's got to be green to avoid a 2 by 2. This square is part of a double-digit clue. This is just beautiful, Abed. It is just brilliant. So now, well now, I mean, those 2 clues are done. Because the star doesn't tell us what this is. These 2 clues are done because, again, the star is useless. What's going on in the top row? So these add up to a double-digit number. This sequence adds up to a single-digit number. So this cell must be green. And therefore, this cell must be grey because this grey needs to get out. And that does it. Now I've got a double-digit total for this column, which forces that to be grey. Good grief. But these 2 cells, I think these are worth our attention, aren't they? This could add up to a maximum of 9, and this is already 5 or 6. So we certainly can't include 4 in either of these squares. One of these squares has to be a 1. That's very clear, so that's going to have to be there. So 1 is in the sequence down here, which adds up to a double-digit number. So that's probably fine. Now do I know that this is the 10 now? If this is 10, this has got to be a 9. Or could this be the 10? If this was the 10, Well, this couldn't be 2, 8, could it? It would have to be 3, 7. And that would fix this as 5, 8. I can almost fix this as 5, 8 in a different way. 8 in this box look has to be in that domino. This digit. No. Mark would be proud of me. I am going to tell you something very interesting here. And I know for some of you, you will be thinking that you will be hoping you never bump into me at a party. If you did bump into me at a party, I would be in the corner, in the spotlight, so to speak. And almost certainly losing my religion. I'm going to write in a 5 there. If you can't see how to get that, pause the video because it might amuse you. It's really rather pretty. I think this is a 5. The reason, let me tell you why I think this is a 5. If you look at this column, these two digits are high, by which I mean that they are 6s or higher, both of them. Now, this cell is part of a 2-digit domino that adds up to a 2-digit number. So what's the minimum this cell could be? Well, the minimum is 6. So that's got to be 6, 7, 8 or 9. Let's consider this domino. This has also got to contain at least one high digit because it's adding to a double-digit number. So we can't make this 5 and 4 because that only adds up to 9. So down here there's got to be a 6, 7, 8 or 9 as well. Now look at this column. We've got all 4 of 6, 7, 8 and 9 must occupy these 5 cells, which means this cell is a naked single because this cell sees 1, 2, 3, 4 triple, 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple, so it is a 5 and therefore that's a 6 and therefore this is a 2, this is a 2. We've got 2 sequences that add up to 9, which is exactly correct for each one of them. That one and that one. This clue is done. There's nothing more to learn from a starred clue. We've learnt that. No, those 3 squares just have to add up to a double-digit number, and they are definitely going to do that because this is at least a 3-4 pair, and that's at least a 6. In fact, it's not a 6 now because of this. So this is a 7, 8 or 9, and in this box, look, we've not placed 7, 8 or 9. That sort of feels like I might be able to do something with that. Well, this one's not an 8. Not sure, actually. Oh, for goodness sake. Where does 3 go in box 3? The answer is there. So 4 is in one of these 2 cells by Sudoku. Okay. I've actually had to do some Sudoku here for a while, haven't I? This is most disturbing. This column, I suppose the green cells here have to be from 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s by the logic that we found that sort of hidden quadruple. But I don't think we know very much about those 2 cells. Oh, 1 and 2. Oh, nearly. I thought I was going to be able to get a 1-2 pair in this box, but no. No. Right, what about that then? Does that have to be one of these clues? If this was not a single-digit clue, this would have to be, there's not enough room for 2 single-digit clues to the left of this. So this is a single-digit clue. I don't know which of these it is, because this one could be a single-digit clue as well. But that means this cell has to be relatively low. It can't be higher than... Well, this can't be 9, I suppose. Now hang on. These added up to 15. So if that can't be 9, that can't be 6. And we could make this 3 if this is 6. But the problem here, I was hoping I was going to be able to green both of those. But I think this could still be one of these sort of 6-2-1 sequences. If it was, it would have to be there, wouldn't it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to do that. Let me just cogitate over this for a moment or two. 1 in this column is in one of 2 positions. That's not even true, because there's a low digit in here, isn't there? No, okay, sorry. Now I'm getting confused. Not a good sign. What about... Right, that clue is done, because we've filled it in, so we can read those 2 cells. This we know is going to be done. In fact, I might as well read that. I'm not going to get any extra information from this. This, I have to make sure those add up to 13. I'm going to make sure these add up to a double-digit number. Which is nearly interesting, but I don't think it's quite interesting enough. Right, 2. Oh, 1. I'll start with 1 actually. 1 has to go there. 2 is in one of these cells. So if 2 was in this domino, how do we get to a double-digit number when we can't use 8? This would have to be a 2-9 pair, which feels like that would be helpful. That would fix this digit. I don't know. Okay, all right. Let's take stock. How are we doing? We're doing okay. 42 minutes into the video, which probably means about 32 minutes into the solve. It's not awful. But now I feel like I'm getting stuck again. What could we do? How are we going to solve this? We're going to solve this by I don't know. That's not a 3, I've just noticed by Sudoku. This is a 1 or a 2. That's unsurprising. This has to add up to a single digit total, so that makes sense. I feel like something's going on with 1s and 2s in the middle box. I mean, I can get them down to they're in 2 of these 3 cells. But I don't think I know. I don't think I know how to do that. Here's a point. Right, how could this be grey? We worked out that this clue was one of these 2 clues. So if this was grey, this would have to be a 6-1-2 sequence to add up to a single digit total, but this square cannot be 6, 1 or 2. It's so precise, isn't it? So this square becomes grey. That doesn't, I think, tell me anything about the 1s and 2s though. Do I now know this is an 11? Maybe. It could be an 11, but it sort of depends whether there's an 11 over there and what these stars really mean. I don't know. I'm not sure. I really am not sure. Okay. We do know... Oh, yeah. Right, watch this. Is this square grey? This is just... I mean, who is solving this? Seeing things like this and thinking, oh, average puzzle. This is just absolutely beautiful. What is this square? If this square is grey, don't I get a wall? I do. I get a wall of green because I've got to avoid 2 2x2s. And look, this bottom area is completely isolated. So that this square cannot be grey, so that's got to be green, and then that grey's got to get out, and this grey's got to get out. Right, so now I can come back to this again. What's going on with this clue? This clue must be 6. 1, 2, mustn't it? So this square is a 2, that square's a 1. So this is not a 1, this is not a 1. And this is 6, 1, 2, so that's got to be green. This top area hasn't got out, so it must come down. We must create a bridge down column 1, where, it would be lovely to know that this corresponded to this clue, but I don't think we do know that. This has got to get out, so that's got to be grey. Do we know what this 12 clue is? Is it this? Well, it's not this if this is complete, is it? If this is not the 12 clue, then this is the 12 clue at the bottom of the grid. And that creates... oh, good grief. Look, this creates another of these. This creates like a pyramid of nonsenses. Let me show you. If this is not part of the 12, we have to make this green, because nothing else in this column can be part of the 12. So this becomes part of the 12. But now I've got to... oh no, hang on, I can get round. I thought I was going to get the double 2x2 trickery. But look, that can just creep round the corner, so that is possible. Ah, bobbins. I thought I was seeing something cleverer than I was then. Right. 6 is not in these cells anymore. We've got to get to a double-digit total. Oh, if that's 6, that's 9 by maths. We need that to add up to 15. That's going to be helpful. We can get rid of 9 from up there. Do we know what this adds up to? No. We can get rid of 9 as a pencil mark from down here. So, no, actually we don't really. Because we don't know what these question marks exactly mean, I don't think we can get much further. So in this row, either this adds up to 11, or this is grey and this adds up to 11, and it would have a 1 in it as well. In fact, there's a 1 in one of those two cells. Oh, we've got an 8 clue to address in column 2 as well, which is clearly not that. I don't know. It feels like we can't be far away. Ah, I've got something. Where does 1 go in this column? Now, if we put 1 in this domino, the only way of getting to a double-digit number would be to accompany the 1 with a 9, which is not available. So 1 lives at the bottom of the grid, which means 1 isn't there. Oh, that's totally underwhelming. That does very little, actually. It must be quite difficult for this to add to 11, actually, now I look at it, because it can't have 1 in it. So it must have 2 in it, because 3, 4 and 5 add up to 12. So if this does add up to 11, that's a 2, and these two squares have got to add up to 9. Which could be 3, 6 or 4, 5, I suppose, probably. But if this adds up to 11, then we've got to use 1 in it, and then we're going to use 2 more digits that add up to 10. That can't be 2, 8 or 1, 9. So there's going to be 3, 7 or 4, 6 over here. I don't know. I don't know if we can do that. Ah, I can do something else. Let's come back to this column then. Where is the 10 clue? Well, I've just seen it can't be here now because this is an 8. So to make that 10, that would have to be 8. So this is the only place it can be, and that must be 9. Which means there's a 9 down here. Now, does that mean there's no possibility of a 3-cell 11 clue? Surely it does. If this doesn't add up to 11, to make this add up to 11, that turns grey, and it includes a 9. And you can't make 3 different numbers add up to 11 if one of them is a 9. So this 11 clue is cluing this cell. We don't know how to shade this because this corresponds to a star, but we do know this adds up to 11. And we worked out that needed a 2 in it. So we've now got a 3-4 pair here. So the 2 in the column goes at the bottom where it needs to be in a domino that adds up to a double-digit number. So we can't accompany it with 7. This is a 2-8 pair, and that, I can tell you, is going to do something, because now I can't make 14 using 6 and 8. So this is 5 and 9, and that doesn't do anything. Oh, no! Oh, that square's become a 7 by Sudoku, so that's a 9, that's an 8. Oh, I see, and that does do stuff. So that gets me my 9 and my 5. Okay, these two squares add up to 9. Now, if they are 3, 6, they can't be 1, 8 or 2, 7. There's no 1s and 2s available. So if it's 3, 6, it's this way round. If it's 4, 5, I think it's either way round, actually. Hang on, where's my 6 gone? The 6 should be there. So there's a virtual 3-4 pair between, because if this is 3, there's a 4 here. If this is 4, there's a 3 here. So there's a 3-4 pair in those cells. Now, okay, that's quite interesting for where 4 goes in box 6. It's not there. I've just worked out it can't be there, so it's in one of those 2 cells, which means 4 is in one of these 3 cells. I'm not sure this does anything, but it's quite cute, isn't it? Oh, and hang on, this has to add up to a double-digit number, so this can't be a very low number. This has got to be at least 4. So and it can't be 4, we just worked that out, so it's 5, 6, 7 or 9. No, this is not, it's not good enough, is it? We can do better than this. What about these squares then? These are 3, 4, 6. I don't know. I know there's a 6 in one of those. I don't know much about 3s, 4s, 6s and 7s really. Okay. Right. Have we improved our knowledge about connectivity from anything we've just done? I don't know. Oh! 8 is now in this domino, and this adds up to 13. So I can read this, and this has not got 6 or 7 in it. This is 5 or 8. So these 3 squares are now known. They've got to be 6, 7 and 9. I might be able to do something with this. This is now 4, 5. Oh, this not, well, it is a 4, 5 pair, but the 5 is in the corner. This is 4. I don't know how to do that. Right, let's look at these squares. 3, 4 and 9. 3, 4 and 9. We just don't know anything about columns 1, 2 and 3. And these squares, let's get rid of the 2 pencil mark. So these are 2, 6 and 7. Now, do we know any of the totals? We know. Yeah, we do. This has got to be 6, 7. Because if we include the 2 in it, we can't get to a double-digit total. So in fact, that turns red. We know what this total is. It's 13. And that becomes a 2. And there's a 2 down here. There's a 2 over here as well, down there. But this is a... well, we've got to keep an eye on this, actually. This triple here adds up to a double-digit total, but it's got 1 and 2 as two of its digits. So the other digits, it's got to have 7, 8 or 9 in it. Can almost prove it's got 8 in it, but not quite. No, not really at all. In fact, okay. What? I could get a 3 in the corner there. I've not been looking out. Oh, I can't get a 3 in the corner here. So any 3s in corners are going to be in one of those cells. Although I'm pretty sure whoever's put this in the software, this won't work for 3s in the corner, because it looks like it's been built out of a bigger grid, if you like. So I'm not sure the software is going to understand how to check what's going on, you know, where the Sudoku grid is within the 12 by 12 that's being created. Okay, so can we? This 12, I still don't understand that, do I? Can this really be this clue? Oh, the thing is, that could be that clue, and the star. Yeah, this is horrible. This just doesn't help us at all, does it? Literally, it doesn't help us at all now. I think I could read this legitimately, because that clue is all. This cell could correspond to that clue, and that's it for the column, because star can be anything. Oh no, hang on, that's not right. Or is it? No, that's not right. I'm wrong about that. I apologise. No, this is the first clue from the bottom of the grid, isn't it? So I do have to be a bit careful. So if this corresponded to this, these 3 digits would have to add up to a single digit total without using 2. So they'd either be they'd have to be 134 or 135 or something like that. But that cell would then be green. And we've got 17 here. Let me just think about that for a moment. Oh, that's right. Okay, I've got something. Okay, this 17, this is part of the 17, I'm going to claim. Because for this not to be part of the 17 would have to shoehorn itself into those 2 cells. And that doesn't work. Because if we're claiming this is not part of the 17, we need 2 cells. It must be an 8-9 pair, and we need to make this green. But now I've got to avoid a 2 by 2 situation, which is going to make that green. And now that big snake of grey is trapped in, which won't work. So you can't shoehorn a domino here to deal with this 17 clue. And that means that it's at least a 3-cell clue, in which case it will connect with this. And this isn't 17 on its own, because you can't write 17 into that cell. So that cell's definitely got to be grey now. Right, which means that's green by 2 by 2 logic, look. Ah, so now, by hook or by crook, we have proved where the 12 clue goes in this column. It is here, and these 2 squares add up to 10. So a 9-1 doesn't work. So this is now a 1-9 pair. This is just beautiful, isn't it? So this is either 3-7 or 4-6, adding up to 10 to make us get to 12 overall. Now, what's going on with the rest of this then? This is part of the 17, but it can't be an 8-9 pair now, so it must be at least 3 cells. So we can extend it. That's going to make that avoid a 2 by 2. We've now got to make a longer bridge to get the greys to connect, and we've just got the task of connecting this up here. We've nearly done the shading now. So, okay, so this is a 17 total. Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm also not sure where this 8 clue goes. If that's green, I've got to... Oh, that doesn't work. Okay. So this clue, which I'm aligned so unfairly, is absolutely massive now. Because what we cannot do is make this cell green. Because then, let me show you, if that's green, how do you get this to connect? It has to come up the left-hand side of the grid, which would imply that this great big string of greyliness contains digits that sum to a single digit total. Well, that's not right, is it? So this is grey, and therefore I think it must add up to 8, because this certainly doesn't. You can't make 4 cells add up to 8, because the triangular number for 4 is 10. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and you can see that's not even possible here. So these 3 squares add up to 8, and they include a 2, which means that they are 1, 2, 5, and that's a 2, naked single. So this is a 1, 5 pair, and that's going to do the 1, 9 pair, which means that's no longer a 9 at the top of the grid. This, we've got to avoid a 2 by 2. Still don't know what's going on in the bottom. Oh, well, no, we really don't. We've got this 2 is part of a double-digit clue, but we don't know much about it. Ah, there's a 5 in here though, so that's got to be 5. That's got to be 8. Does that mean? I'm wondering about this clue now. This clue must be this, mustn't it? Because that clearly is not a double-digit total. So I think this has to be an 8. Because if this was a 2, to get this to be a double-digit total, this would need to be an 8 or a 9, and it doesn't seem to be able to be those. So I think we might be able to put 8 here and 2 here. And then this, well, then this square is quite easy to fill, isn't it? 3, 4, 6, or 7. 2. 2 in the final column is placed. How many 2s have we got? 1, 2, 3. We've got all the 2s. Oh, I see. And I can also place 1 here, because by Sudoku it can't go in the corner, and it seems to have to be in these 3 squares. That gets me my 1 and my 5. Knocks 5 out of this square, which is not very useful. We just have to make sure those add up to a double-digit total. Ah, 17 here. I've got 5 and 2. So these 2 squares have to add up to 10. Which I think means these 2 digits are the same number. Because those 2 had to add up to 10 as well. So these 2 are the same, but that doesn't tell us what they are, which is ironic. Okay, so 9 is now in one of those 2 cells, which means 9 I can place in box 9 by our old friend Sudoku. A fair weather friend. Sometimes Sudoku helps us, but other times seems to go missing. Now, what do we do now? That's the next question. We should... I don't know what we should do, actually. I'm not sure. 8 is in one of those 2 cells, I've just noticed. Okay, okay, so 8 I've realised is in one of those 2 cells in row 6. These cells don't appear to be able to be from that coterie of digits. 6, 7. Where do you... Oh, yeah, 5. 5 in this column, we can just write it in. It's got to go there. Now that might... Does that do anything? It means 5 is in this domino. No, it doesn't do anything. Oh, that's so disappointing. Where does 8 go in this column? Only at the bottom. So that's an 8. So this is now an 8, which means this is an 8. Hang on, we're doing better with 8s. Do we know what those add up to? No. No. Abed's not been kind enough to tell us that. We've got quite a lot of 8s in the puzzle now. Oh, bobbins. We got left with a sort of X-swing of 8s. And I bet we don't know the totals. Oh. But we do now know. Oh, we knew this before. I just hadn't appreciated it. This question mark clue. Where's that living? Well, it's not part of this because that must add up to at least 10. And a lot more than that now. It's got an 8 as one of its options. So that must go there. And this has to add up to a double-digit number. And oh, that's ridiculous. Right, okay. So that's grey. Because if this is green, how do you make this domino add up to a double-digit number when 8 and 9 aren't available? You can't do it if that's a 2. So that's grey, and that's the shading done. And that cell's now, we don't know anything about it. 3, 4, 6, 3. I keep thinking I say 3, 4, 6, and 7 a lot in this puzzle as to what's left to put in it. So the bottom row has just got 3s, 4s, 6s, and 7s. The corner cell here is 6 or 7. Oh, I have not. No, okay. We still haven't established whether or not there's a 3 in the corner. Where does, oh, I see. Where does 9 go in the final column? We can place that. This square's a 6 or a 7. How many 9s have we got? Quite a few. Yeah, we've got an X-swing of 9s left. Right. So we've done it. Oh, what about that cell then? Because I'm seeing that's part of a double-digit total. So this needs to be at least a 6. So that's a 6 or a 7 as well. Bah humbug. That's this glue, isn't it? So that's fixed. So this is all finished. Yeah, we probably have to do a bit of auditing now. Oh, that digit, that's part of a double-digit total as well. So if that's 6 or 7, well, in fact, yeah, we can't rule anything out. This column, 4, 5, 6, or 7. So that's 4, 6, or 7. Fives? Can we do better with 5s? Not quite. There's a 5 in one of these two cells. Yeah, it's probably some maths that we've not done. That's what I suspect the issue is. These add up to 17, so we don't know, I don't think we know anyway, how to resolve that. Do we know? Oh no, sorry. I'm not spotting whatever it is. It's probably going to be... this adds up to 12, so this clue corresponds to that, and therefore we don't know it. We can't get any more information out of row 5. We know these add up to, those add up to 9. So we can't really get... This is not where the pinch point is. This is not where the pinch point is, because I know they add up to 17 and I've pencil marked them. This is not where the pinch point is. So it's got to be, it's either Sudoku I've not done, probably is that, isn't it? Or it's some maths I've not done on something I've not looked at. This is done because I know they add up to 12 and these two digits are the same. Let's read those. That's done. We used this question mark most recently. We've used the 8, so this is done. We've used the 15. Let's double. Oh, I thought that was going to be it. But no, whether this is 3 or 4, it is already double digits, so that doesn't work. This is already double digits. That works. This one, that's all fine, isn't it? That's working. We know we did the 10. Oh no, it's going to be Sudoku. Oh, no, 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 it's not. It's not. It's the very last clue. It's this one. Because look at this beautiful clue. If that's a 6, this only adds up to 9. So that's a 7 in the corner. Okay, I don't know what that's going to do, but that's quite exciting. So that's a 6. So this is not a 6. Didn't that have to be... Yes, this had to add up to 9. So that's now a 4-5 pair, which gives me a 3 here. 4 and 3 go into the grid. This is not 3. So that's not 7. We knew they had to add up to 10. In fact, that's not 4 either, so that's not 6. Yeah, okay, so in this row, this has got to be a 6 or a 7 and can't be a 6. So that's a 7, that's a 6, and that's a 4 by maths. Oh, look, things are getting done now. Things are getting... This clue is just an absolute piece of wonderment. Okay, let's try and finish this now with some sort of... Look, this 7's done. Whoa! That was exciting. 7 and 6. This square's at 4 or 5. This down here has got to be 3 and 6. Oh, really? Doesn't seem to be resolved, but it does resolve that. So that's 4 and that's 5. Oh, we've still got a chance down there for 3 in the corner, and here indeed. There's 2 chances for 3 in the corner. Okay. I have used all the clues, so I basically now all I've got to rely on is Sudoku. What a terrifying thought. This square is not 4. So in this column, this square is 3 or 9. Okay, let's maybe try column 5. 4, 6 and 7 left to play, so that's 4 or 7. And that's 6 or 7. So this is a 6-7 pair, and that becomes a 4. And that gives me the 5 and the 4, which might help. So there's now a 4 in one of these 2 squares. And those 2 squares are 8 and something. 8 and 7. Oh no! Doesn't seem to be resolved, does it? So these 2 squares are 3 and 4. There's a 4 here, so we can do that at least. 4 and 3 go into the grid. Oh, hang on. I've read this, but this had to add up to 17, didn't it? So that's got to be a 6 if my maths isn't deserting me. So that... Oh! That's 3 in... Oh! That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. Wow. And the software knew that there was a 3 in the corner as well, which is really quite extraordinary. So this is now a 9, which means we get the 9 at the top. Obviously no 3 in the corner here as well. That square's got to be a 7 by the looks of it. I haven't put a 7 in this box. So let's put that in. Right, okay, so what are we left with? We're left with a 3-7 pair here, which is resolved. Which seemed to give me the 4 and probably gives me the 8. And that might be the solution to Abed's puzzle. What a brilliant, brilliant puzzle that was. There was no part of that that wasn't sensational. The logic, the connectivity logic. I mean, even the Sudoku logic, that's one of my favourite naked singles of recent times, that one. It's just absolutely magical. I'm going to click tick. I don't think the software... Oh, it did understand it. Looks good. Puzzle doesn't include solution. 67 minutes. Does that sound right? Yeah. Fabulous. That's absolutely brilliant. Somehow it knows. Somehow it's been able to check. I mean, presumably it hasn't checked the colouring. Let's just double click the colouring and check that the greys do look orthogonally connected. That looks fine, and I can't see any 2x2s there. So I reckon that's probably right. Loved it. Beginning to end, totally, totally stunning. And yes, I would have given that 100% without second thought. If I could have given it more than 100%, I would have done. Loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.